Alright, so here's a little before and after cleaning of this guy on the throttle intake on the manifold. So this is my finish. This is what we're looking at. And this is what it looked like. This is a rusty piece of shit. Oh, it's horrible. So, they're also, I mean, look, I still have a little lip edge, so I will have something to grab onto. Obviously, I should paint this. It's gonna be fun masking or whatever. I'll probably pull it off of here to paint it. But the lazy man in me is like, oh, just put everything around it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, it's 4 bolts, pull it off. Paint this, make sure that nothing's getting in here, so I'll stuff this. And then hopefully, you know, it won't do this again. You know, and goddamn, look at that, it's so nasty. So, took my time, worked it with sandpaper, really hard grit, and then 120. You use like a long band like this, and you can wrap it around the outside. Give yourself a little micro belt, right? And then you just pull like you're starting a fire, you know. Both sides, one side, one side, one side. Change your angle to change where it's grabbing, you know, there to get the top, there to get the bottom. Then you got to think that you're going to want to reverse it, right, to get the pull that way to get it equal, right? And then you know, to do this though, I mean, fuck, I started with a razor blade, just scoring essentially off as much as I could, and then sandpaper, grit down, even these brushes here for the contours of the edge here, which is where this one's at. See how it's nice and clean. So I'm hoping I'll do the same to the other one. Of course, I've cleaned the inside a little bit too with these long guys, but you know, yeah, take your time, due diligence on things like this, because I mean, this is shit. You don't want that. I mean, that's crap, especially when everything else is brand new. And that's where junkyard picking and things like that. This is actually off of the original block and motor and everything, which is so fun because this is off an Eclipse. This is a Hyundai Kia. This is a Hyundai Kia cylinder head. This is an Eclipse block. So meshing all of these together, which are like this wiring, the TPS, yeah, throttle position setter. For some reason, I kept saying TSP when I kept thinking of this in my head early videos because I'm a numbskull sometimes, but it's more a transposing of letters, which I definitely do as well sometimes. So just cleaning everything up, and the other difference between this and the Hyundai is this right here. This is a plug hole. Like, I think all I have to do is drill it down and tap one of these in there. And then it would be... This is all of the stuff off the Hyundai Kia. Oh, I'm making a... Yeah! That's why you pile things in giant topples. It's more fun and exciting in life. So this is all the wiring and components that actually came off of the air intake manifold. I took photos and all of that because this is a jumble of shit right now. So most of this I will be tossing, but there are certain ones that have to, like this guy. This guy has to transfer over. I have to be able to have this tap into the. So here, I'll show you how it looks. I'll show you what it goes. Alright, because that is one of the more important guys, and then I'll have to rewire it into the old air intake manifold wiring so that it plugs in direct and no issues. So, and then all of my air intake tubing from here to the block, and my injectors and fuel rail, all of that needs to get situated. So I figured that now's the time, because I'm basically done with the timing. I should set up all the backside of the motor that goes against the firewall, because if I set all this up, then I'll be able to set it in place in the motor engine bay and not have to work on all of this tight ass components that are really hard to get to and work on and all that shit. So I have to figure out, this is also a component that is most certainly coming, that I'll have to change and wire in and blah blah blah. That is over here as well. Let's see if I can find it. Here we are. Which I might order new. Most likely I will actually order new. Because this guy, see those two holes? That goes right here. So I'll have to figure out that, and then all of the look at the manuals and double cross-check between the two different blocks, because that's the thing. This is a different air intake manifold. This is a different block. That all of the plumbing and all of that works out, and it will, because most of this is pretty stupid proof, and it only works in one essential way. And thermostat housing, temperature sensor, believe in and overflow out, and then block goes in for the water pump on the other side, and then this is the tubing, I believe connects us with this, but I gotta double check all that stuff, because again, this is all different than I was used to, and this is the Hyundai Kia, and I ripped a Hyundai Kia apart to get all of this parts and stuff, because I bought the cylinder head with everything off of it, because they're essentially assuming that you had a bad cylinder head, and they're sending you a machine one, and you'll have all the other components. But it's confusing that they didn't have the cam seals in. I had thought that they would have. But that was an interesting thing my mechanic discovered. So yeah, so today I'm working on this. I'm working out all of my water and air and fuel, and this is for the oil feed to the turbocharger. That's what this big guy running through the middle here is. And of course there's one more sensor that pops up through the middle of here, and I'll probably wrap all this with heat stuff just in case. This will be producing a little more heat than it was, and then yeah, wiring. So luckily I was smart enough to cut myself a long amount of wire, so I got a lot of play. This I didn't cut as big. This was when I cut this unit out, and I wasn't thinking as clearly. I think though I can pull the old one off of the thermostat from the Eclipse, and it should tap straight in here too. That was the other. That's why I forgot. That's why I was a little careless about cutting the short. But I have all this wiring and excess wires and all of this goodies, because junkyard picking will save you a lot of issues when you run into wiring, especially and coupling and all the little plugs and all that bullshit. Like a full wiring harness and all of that for the engine and bay and all of that is like $1,000 fucking dollars. Like holy shit. So junkyard picking and all that will save you that money and that dime, especially if you're trying to make a project car that you want to make money out of, which is the end goal of this guy. I'm going to try to sell it, and as a start-up race car that can be built into something more after they've kind of figured out their limits of this, because I mean you could really push this car with a single overhead cam, so a turbocharged double overhead cam, lowered compression with like 10 to 15 boost. I think this car will smoke its tires, shift into third. I mean if it's set up right. And of course that's not something you really want, but it's just to let you know the torque. The torque of these motors and these blocks has always been higher than their horsepower, which is just so awesome, because torque is really what you want, especially if you're hill climbing, if you're having a good old time, and also for slowing yourself down, putting it into gear, lowering your speed via your gear ratio and the compression of your motor and all the rest of that too. So yeah, one project at a time and due diligence, taking my time, and then I got to figure out the injectors, and I think I have to buy injectors and a couple other things, and we'll see. All right, have a good one.